A very good afternoon to all our change makers out there. Today is a very special episode interviewing the Honorary Secretary of IIID Kerela chapter, Smitha Naik. It's great to have her on the show. She's actually one of the first from her fraternity on the show. So thank you so much, Smitha Garu, for doing this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vamsi. It's a pleasure, and I'm very honored to be on this show, as you would say it.
Thank you.
So
Thank
I'm hoping to hear some interesting questions from you, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them.
you. Right. Thank you. So let's get straight to it. So how did you feel like changing gears from a professional world to the designing world? What happened in the backstory?
I am in this field, which you very rightly, like kind of identified. This field of ours is predominantly occupied by architects, but there are quite a few designers who are in this as well. Many of them who have come with the professional qualification of a design degree or a diploma, and many of us, like me, who have come in through sheer passion, through background, through concrete experience on the ground, who have learned it the tough way. And even though we've learned it the tough way, it is with a lot of understanding, a lot of learning, a lot of observation, and a lot of continuous lookout for what we can do better through our what do you say projects and through our clients, and how can we change the scene with what we have with us.
Sure.
That has been the background of this. I come from a very different background, and but my family, my mother's been in this for the last 30-32 years, and so I left my job and I got into this field with her. So around now, I have around 12 years of experience only in design, and we have been doing a combination of different projects, like doing design, we've done contracting, we've done kind of styling, we have done furniture. So we've done like the whole gamut of it. So we, as when I say we, it's basically me and my small team. So
Sure.
we have gotten into a lot of projects just because of our sheer, I would say, hard work.
Okay.
So that's how we've done. We've been lucky also to a very large extent.
Sure.
People have understood. We have been able to communicate what we want to do. And we have very receptive people as our clients. We've been very lucky that way also.
How nice. How nice.
I feel both are professional. In fact, right now, the kind of industry I'm in is much more professional than what the expectations are much more professional than what you would be with, say, a management. I come with a management background, and I've been in the banking industry for some time. So I have seen that side of it, which is definitely professional. But here you are looked upon as a professional. It is not your
Right.
entire industry which is looked up. It's as you as an individual. How creative are you? How intense are you? How productive are you? So as an individual, it matters. It comes down to every individual who is working on this. So how much of a larger team you have, how much of a great background you have, as an individual, if you do not have that creativity, the passion, and the ability to sustain a project from the beginning to the end, which includes a lot of things, and as we speak, I will tell you about all of them which come. It is, you cannot actually be considered as a professional. So,
Okay.
yeah, so with that background, now how did I get into this? Okay, it was kind of because we come from a family. I lost my father quite early in my life. I lost him when I was 8 years old, and we're three girls. So my mother had to get into this field, and which was a dream of my father. And when he passed on, she had to build it up from scratch. So it was, I have grown up seeing this. Right from the age of 7 or 8, I've seen this, and throughout my life, even though I didn't have a direction of which educational background I should take, I had this at the back of my mind. So among all the three sisters, I had this passion to create. And so as a young child also, we used to have this workshop at home. I used to pick bits and pieces of plywood and wood and try and join it and try to make a house and stuff like that.
Okay.
It was good in art as well. So somewhere I think I didn't recognize my ability in that particular field. So I went in a very different line of work. And then after I had my second child, I came back and I saw my mother struggling with her business. And I thought, okay, now that I have so much of corporate experience, why don't I bring it into something as as simple as hers? But
Sure.
and that's when I got into it. And I thought it was kind of a payback time. I need to really be with her at that time. I saw her struggling through it. So I got into it, but once I got into it, I realized that it was a fantastic field, and I got really accepted fast. Uh, and I feel that there was a gap in terms of design and actually getting things done. So as a professional, I could bridge that gap.
Sure.
And thereon we did a lot of work in terms of. You can please let me know if I'm going too much out of my time, but
Sure.
yeah.
Please.
So there I found that there is a lot of gap in especially in Kerala, where what people design and what is getting executed, huge gap. So we try to bridge that gap, and then slowly I figured out my design is taking a lot of is getting a lot of appreciation in terms of the uniqueness of it, or what we do, and how much of customization we do for each client. So
Sure.
we got into that then, and that's how this started off.
I want to jump straight to that point that you raised, where designing something and to actually creating it on physical, making it a physical being. So, what is the challenge that you face quite often in this?
So from designing to creation, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So design is like a, if I have to say, it's like a wild horse let into a open field, and and the wild horse is going, going left, right, center, jumping, and all that. And when it comes to creation, it is actually that horse is then put into an obstacle race, and you are have to then climb and jump over obstacles, and then reach a point, with okay, with blinders on the horse and saying, okay, this is how you need to go. So yes, there is a huge difference. So how we do that is we have to, and these blinders and boundaries in a way are very good, because if you do not have a boundary to set your design in, you get lost. The client spends money without understanding what he's getting. So you need to have those boundaries. So it has to be a mix between open field and an obstacle race, and a well planned obstacle race, so those obstacles you can reduce, what product to take, what materials to find, what design suits the place. And you also have to think of it in terms of longevity, like how long is this going to remain. So from design to creation, it is all about, I would say, two, three things if I have to touch upon in terms of my experience and what I have done. Is one is to have very good communication. You have to have extremely good communication and understanding about what the client wants. So that is your first boundary. You set the fences there. And then you have to understand how am I going to fit this within what his ideal budget would be. Now, when a client comes on board, he doesn't know what his budget is. But slowly you need to start, that is, as a designer, we need to start defining that budget for that client. And that is when you create the second parameter. And then you go on identifying the products, the design, visualization, the all the other documentation that goes up with any design process. So yeah.
So that's great. How difficult it is, I know. We have experienced quite a lot in terms of design changes and the whole gamut of things. Is it challenging when clients ask repetitive questions of, how will this work? How will that work? How will the design change from the starting of the project to the finishing?
Yeah, absolutely. They have the freedom to do it. In fact, I believe that every client should have the freedom to ask questions. Now, there is again a very fine line between, asking anything and everything and, just prolonging the process. But if the client is quite understanding, he's quite intelligent, he or she for that matter, very understanding, and they know, okay, we are working as a team, then these questions have a lot of validity. And those questions will actually bring about the change in which we think also. So many of my best designs, I would say, has come up with a lot of good input from my client. Design changes, even though when you put it in that way, it there is a limit to where we can do a lot of design changes. So if our process is clear in the initial time itself, you give them enough time to think about what they want. You give them enough, information, enough designs for them to think, and then they are able to bring their mind about that in that particular periphery. Then it comes to, then you can get into the actual doing of things. So that way you face lesser problems. We have learned a lot through over these years on how to actually make that process very easy for a client. It is not a fight between, a designer and a client. It is actually teamwork. So one of the things also, just going a little away from the question is, one of the things that we look for in our client is a vibe, a good vibe. Only if we have a great vibe. So as just like the client is selecting us, we also try and select our client. We are now a little bit more in a position to do that, to be very honest. Earlier when you start up, you might not be, but slowly we get into that position where, we can see if it doesn't fit, we say, thank you very much, I don't think we'll be a right fit for you.
So what drives you to design in terms of creativity, in terms of coming up with newer ideas? How does that process happen?
So it's very interesting question, because design is a very exhausting process in a whole. When you continuously do it, becomes very exhausting, because you are doing the same things but for different clients and for different designs. But the process is same. It is very intense. I personally believe that we cannot expand huge design business without being directly involved. You can't just get people under you and say, okay, now you do. I'm going to sit back and relax, or I'm going on a vacation. Every project of yours is like restarting their entire circle of, design and creation. So it is exhausting after a certain period of time. But what drives me is to know that when these projects come towards an end, we see those happy clients, seeing something. For them, this is the first time that they might be doing this. So for us, it might be the 100th time, but for them, it must be the first time. So that happiness, or that experience of seeing something which they have only heard from us, and all fitting in place visually, is what drives me as a designer.
How nice, how nice. Actually making dreams come true. That's very nice.
Absolutely, that's
so as an individual, what are you passionate about?
Okay, so that's a good question. I am like a jumping jack, everything excites me. I absolutely love my life. I believe life is supposed to be lived in large. I'm not saying I don't have issues. I do have a lot of issues, but that has nothing to do with my passion for life. I think that is the whole thing. It's this whole journey from, from where we were to what we are, how much we have it in our control is huge. Some things, of course, like Corona, COVID and all, is not in our control, but how we take it up as a situation, how do we react towards it, is entirely on us. If you have good health, if you have a good background in terms of, you have made some bit of money that you can rely on, and if you have a great family and friends around you who keep you happy mentally and emotionally, I think that will always drive you to do more.
I want to ask you about the COVID, of course, because of your answer about life. How have you been coping up with this whole thing? You and your team, your family, how is that happening?
Okay. So it is a very uncertain time now, as everybody would be, like that now. That's the inward now, uncertain pandemic.
Sure.
All of this is, yeah. So this time has been, I would say, comparatively, I'm in a better off place than many in this world. So I look at it that way. I find that we are healthy now, and we are younger than many, people who are susceptible to this kind of a disease.
Yeah.
And we are also economically a little, safer than many of those who are working on a daily wage. And we are in an industry where daily wage is we see people, we work with people who are on daily wages. So that from that perspective, yes, we are a bit more lucky. So I'm happy that where we are. But having said that, it has been an effect. It has affected the entire world. So it is not like I'm the only one who is experiencing it.
Sure.
So on that fact, I think business. Okay, let me talk about first family.
Yeah.
Family and friends. I think we got a lot of time to spend with each other.
Yeah.
I got a lot of my alone time. It has been a constant race ever since I remember.
Sure.
A constant race to reach somewhere. So this has given us a required break in terms of how to listen to yourself. Listen to how you're breathing, how you're relaxing, what you do, what you really want to do, or are you making excuses for things not to do. So the initial two or odd months, we took it like that. But I think at the end of the second month, I realized that this is also a period where everybody's mind is working fast to see how can we overcome this problem, at least in terms of the business that we're doing, if not the entire environment. So that started becoming my next thing. What can I do which I didn't do earlier? How can I bring in technology or whatever it is? How can I learn more? So that was my second phase. And in the third phase, it was about finishing off projects which we had already taken upon. So that was the third stage of it. And now we are on the fourth stage of actually getting new business and starting and looking at new business. And I do not know what the fifth stage is, but we will take it as it comes.
That's great. I think we briefly mentioned the whole ecosystem and about thoughts about sustainability. I think this COVID pandemic has definitely put sustainability and eco-friendly or conscious behavior in the minds of many. What are your thoughts on that?
So I completely believe in this theory called butterfly effect. This butterfly effect is basically that, when a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere, it can cause vibrations in the atmosphere, which can lead to a tornado in some other place. So every small deed, every small action, every small thought that you take towards nature or towards yourself will have an impact. I would rather say nature would have an impact of it somewhere else, and what goes around comes around, So what
Sure.
happens somewhere else is going to affect us in the end. So for us to be oblivious of the fact that, okay, what we're doing has no effect because we do not see an immediate result out of it, does not mean that it does not have a result anywhere else. So as I said, butterflies flapping of its wing can create a tornado, and not understanding what your impact is on your environment, and being blind to that and assuming that will not come back to you is just being foolish, plain foolish. So it is very, very important that when we talk about sustainability, we understand that every single material that we use, we know where it comes from. We know what is the principles behind that product. And cost should be the second or the third aspect that you need to look as your priority. What are you giving back? I also keep telling my children about this. There are now 2 teenagers I have. I keep telling them that we borrow this earth from you. So, and you should remember that you are borrowing this earth from your children. So, whatever, you are only borrowers. So, you cannot assume that we own this earth. So, every single thing that you do, even if it's taking a waste paper and putting it in the basket, you need to know why you're doing it. So, this is my thought about sustainability as a whole, if you ask me.
Yeah. That's actually very deep, actually, what you just said. I think definitely would like to say that it's really struck a chord with me. I keep thinking about the larger impact as well, like yourself. So that's great to know. How do you create awareness about this? We keep seeing many people blind to this whole, sustainability issue. How do you create awareness for them?
See, as a designer, I have even though smaller or bigger, whichever ways, our profession involves, designing people's spaces, and spaces are where people live. So it is basically altering their lives, or rather changing or helping change their lives. So as a designer, we have that opportunity. So how do we use this opportunity to bring in this conscious living into their homes, whether they know or not? So every residence, every space, every retail outlet, every showroom, every whatever project we do,
Sure.
an opportunity to impact the thousands of people are going to use it, especially if it's a commercial space. How do we use that kind of conscious living or conscious buying or conscious spaces? So for that, what we do is we look at in depth. We look at design. Design is primary, but more important is the materials that we use there. How is it impacting? What is the wastage that it creates? What is the kind of renewable, options that they have?
Sure.
Are they replenished? Like you use wood, use plywood. What is the replenishment policies that those companies have? Are they planting more trees, or are they just taking and not giving back? Also, when we're talking about sustainability, I will also talk about wages given to the laborers, whether it be child labor being employed. All of this has a huge impact on the product. So it's not a product that we take from the market and we use it in our project. It is about, are we believing in what we are saying? So, whether we use material like non-toxic paints, or we use natural resources for building, or so these are some of the things that we try to implement in our projects.
Sure. How about the clients? How many, if you take a look at the general set of clients that you're dealing with, how much do you think is the awareness about sustainability with them?
There are some clients who are quite well read. They know what they're talking about, and they come to us with that aspect. They understand when we say these things to them. Some clients do not as much. It again depends on what is the kind of business that we do. And I will say this because your clients are projection of what your business is. So which means what you project about your company will attract those kinds of clients.
Correct.
Suppose if I'm mass manufacturer, I don't care about whatever is happening to the environment.
Sure.
My clients who come to me are going to be like that. Whereas if I'm saying I'm a conscious designer, I know what I'm talking about. I know that these are materials that has an impact on stuff, and I keep talking about that. Whether it be in my social media, my blogs, my wherever it be, those are the clients who will come to me. So a larger percentage are people who have that inclination towards good quality, good design, and good products. So I won't have much of a fight with my clients, but if at all, as I said earlier, if at all I have a client where vibes don't match, it is not that he's wrong or she's wrong or I'm right or I'm wrong. It is about the fact that, okay, as a team, our goals are different. What we see, our vision is different. So we say thank you and just move on.
I think that's very interesting what you said. It's almost like restating what karma means. What you put in is what you get back. So you attract what you are looking for. So
absolutely, I totally believe that.
Yeah. So what has been like what do you see are the biggest challenges for India to become more sustainable?
I feel as a citizen of India, I feel that we have a couple of major challenges that we need to first overcome. Of course, everything else, building the environment or, making India more of a super economic power, all that is there.
Sure.
I mean, it is there in the vision, it is there in the future. But what we need to first address is the basics. So what are
Sure.
the basics that we need to? So unless we have the foundation clearly built, like any house that we do or any building that we do, the foundation has to be clear. And one of the elements of foundation that I think that we really, as a country, and I'm not talking only as a designer, as a country, we need to look is equality. There are many parameters to equality.
Sure. Sure.
One of the parameters I'll talk today about is the income disparity that our country has. 1% of the country holds 90% of the wealth that is there. So that equality has never been there in terms of income. And as long as we have income disparity, there is no standardization. There will be no one fit for all. There is going to be only, what the rich can buy, the rich can buy. What the poor can is left over, the poor takes. So
Hmm.
till that time, India is going to face a lot of challenges. You have to be equally par in any one of the things in terms of your income. It can be in terms of your gender. It can be in terms of whatever be it. So I'm saying,
Sure. Sure.
but income is something which I think has to be strongly on par. And as long as we are able to disseminate from wherever we are,
Hmm.
whether it be as small as we are, or as I said, as large as we can,
Sure.
that we start disseminating that equality down. So we are on the top. We have to understand that, okay, in some kind of a hierarchy, we are on the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that hierarchy has to give the hierarchy below an income parity.
Yeah.
And as we all do that, it may change some things. So that
Hmm.
is the first thing I want to talk about in terms of designing the future. Now, the second thing I feel is that we have a lot of talent, country immensely talented. We have the
Sure.
youngest population. All of this everybody knows.
Yeah.
But how do we work on that?
Yeah.
I think India as a country has to, or as younger, citizens of India,
Sure. Sure.
needs to work on building up the confidence of the youth in investing
Hmm.
their energy, investing their mind, investing their time and intellect towards building their future within the country. So
Hmm.
how do we do that? We do that by letting them know that yes, there are opportunities for you. And right now, there is a scarcity of information in the country. Becoming better, we
Hmm.
have an opportunity to disseminate that information down to the youth. So once they know, okay, that there are options, this is the option A, B, C that we can take, we can then find a lot of inventors, a lot of creators, a lot of manufacturers within this country. One of the points which I always feel, which is very contradictory in our field, is that
Hmm.
most of my contemporary competitors, if I can call them,
Sure.
all of them want to go to Italy, to Spain, to China, to all of these
Hmm.
places to get this thing. China, I would not say as much because it's
Sure.
cheaper, price-wise, it's cheaper. But when
Yeah.
you look at price not being an obligation, you go to Europe and want to buy
Hmm.
furniture from there, and you go to all the
Hmm.
shows there, and then you say about how great it is there and how bad we are in India. We are
Correct.
obviously creating a disharmony, or if you can call that.
Hmm.
Whereas these are the same people who looted us our craftsmanship.
That's true.
So we have to first realize that we have this unique skill here. Can
Yeah.
we develop it as designers? So
Hmm.
these are things. I don't know if I've been talking too much, but this is
No, that's actually very, very insightful what you just said, and we really need to. And now the Atmanirbhar and Make in India are actually what resonating with what you're saying. Actually, it's very valid. So I come to a personal question. What are your hobbies? How do you keep yourself, on the positive all the time? What do you do?
okay. That is crazy because I am I am okay. I hate saying this, but my schedules are absolutely crazy. And with two children, as I said, I have a boy and a girl, both are teenagers, and are hardly a year apart. Between them and my very engaging kind of a profession that I am in right now, where in everything I need to be there. It is very difficult to pursue a hobby. At some point, I used to love art. I love art even now, even though I don't get time to make some. So that's something which I like. But other than that, I think if you look at physical activities, I love cycling. Yeah, anything which is interesting. I love to listen to music, certain genres which I like to listen. I love to go and watch theater. And I just love to hang out with people. I think just speaking, anthropology is something which is very interesting. So just speaking to people. See, Mr. Vamsi, I didn't know, you didn't know I existed here, in
Yes,
this
yes,
part of the
absolutely,
country.
absolutely.
So talking to other people and enjoying the conversation is something I like.
That's very nice to know. And on my last note and last question, what the message would you like to give budding designers, the upcoming ones? How do you want to share your experience with them?
Okay, so I will say it is not easy. I will say it's not easy, especially if you're starting on your own. You have to expect the worst. That means you'll not be disappointed. You expect the worst, and failure is your stepping stone. You have to embrace failure. You have to understand that failure is only temporary. And I personally, Mr. Vamsi, I have seen whenever, and it took some time for me to understand this.
Sure.
Every time I was faced with issues, or I won't say failures, but some sort of a complex situation which I could not handle, I used to think of it as a transition stage, which means during the transition, you will have a lot of trouble. So you're here right now and you want to get here, and this is the transition period. So that transition period will have a lot of issues. But you should know that you're moving from here to here. So have that goal that you are there, you're moving there. So you should not feel that you're going around in this space as a circle. Expect that for designers. And there is no standard rule. Like as you know, I've come from a very different field. I'm doing this now. So if you're not fitting into a field of your choice, don't worry. Move on to something else. The world is large enough for everybody. So you don't have to fight for a space for anything. You create your own space. That's what I would like to tell the young designers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Smitha Garu. It was a great experience for me, and it is actually a wonderful way we connected. It was a very random interaction at the first, and I'm very glad it ended up in this one. And young architects, young designers take you as an inspiration. And actually, I was reading it. It actually says Smitha Naik SNSofDESIGN. So it's great essence of design. Thank you so much, Smitha Garu, and it is really. I'm very happy to have spoken with you for the last half an hour or so. Thank you.
It's completely my pleasure, Mr. Vamsi. I'm very excited. I have not done many interviews. I'm not too much online, but I'm very happy that this has come out well. And I'm so happy for giving us this opportunity to represent what we think or truly believe in. Thank you so much, and all the best.